there's a pretty irrefutable argument that the state is essentially a criminal organization. They have all the characteristics of a criminal organization, and that the state does these things that if anyone else did them, we would consider to be, it'd be very easy to tell you what that is. It's, this is the mafia. This is a gang. This is, like they may call it taxation, but they're just robbing people. And they may call it war, but they're just killing people. And they may call it, imprisonment, but they're just enslaving people. Like they just come up with a euphemism for the thing, but it's the same exact act. And this is a pretty fundamental libertarian insight. One of the things that Rothbard really breaks down in that brilliant pamphlet, what's the fundamental difference between a government and a criminal organization? Well, the difference is the perception of legitimacy. The difference is that people don't think of it as them just being robbed. They think of it as taxation, the price you pay to live in a society, and they don't think of it as mass murder. They think of it as a military conflict. They perceive this to be legitimate. And under our modern government, the justification for that, it's not like it used to be, like where the justification would be like, well, the king was chosen by God or whatever to be, to rule over you. The justification for it now is democracy. The justification for it is like, look, we all agreed that we're going to have a vote and majority rules. And you see the way they react to someone challenging that legitimacy. Like they freak the fuck out at the idea that someone would start chipping away at that, because you understand why they freak out about that. And they have to call it the big lie, because they're like, holy shit, if people don't perceive us as legitimate, then they'll just see us as the fucking criminal gang that we are. If you understand that, if you've really taken in the lesson of anatomy of the state, then you go, wow, so we're now in a situation where some huge portion of the voting population doesn't believe the last election was legitimate. And therefore, basically, if you're a Trump supporter who believes in the big lie, you're all of a sudden a lot closer to realizing that this whole thing is fucking criminal. This whole thing is illegitimate. And I don't hate that. Why am I supposed to hate that? Even if it's not true and this election was not fraudulent, the whole thing is still illegitimate and criminal. And so I kind of like the idea of more people feeling that way.